it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
We want to approve the meetings of the last two meetings. We have to approve the minutes of the last two meetings. We have January 15th. Is that where we need to make a alteration of that?
So, Jill, do you have I mean, if you don't have notes on who made motions, then the only thing changing is just adding attendance, but if you think you have that.
May have it at home. I think what I did was, I was writing fast and we were voting fast. I think I do.
Okay.
The rest
Well,
I didn't do it.
I'm going to go ahead and
but
make a motion that we approve January 15th minutes, subject to adding the attendance, which was all 5 of us.
attendance, and then was the vote, the vote was 5.
That's my recollection.
From what I recall as well. Yep.
Okay, so we have a nomination, and we have, or a
I'll second.
vote. All say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Do we hammer this thing to say it's approved?
Only if you want.
If
You want to do it on your head or whatever.
Motion's been approved. March 19th, public meeting. Any discussion on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't do that.
I'll make a motion to approve, again, subject to attendance being inserted, which was Jim Stevens, Jill Howard, Tom Pato, Andy Cole.
Second. Vote. All say yes. Any nays? Motion's approved. Any old business?
Thank you, Mr. President and Police Commission members. If there's any old business to cover,
Either way.
most of this business can be classified as old or new, I think. So
Could be either one.
I'd first like to bring your attention to the stat sheet that I provided you right before this meeting. And there's only 3 or 4 categories that I really want to emphasize. Again, the department done a great job. In the month of March, we had 855 total runs. That's 27 above our average monthly total runs for 2017. That was 855. The officers conducted 455 traffic stops. And you guys know what kind of weather we've had off and on in March. That's great. That's 107 above the monthly average for 2017. So they're out there, again, stopping cars. It's evident in the next stat that I'm going to give you, which is for the month of March, we arrested 10 drivers who were operating under the influence of alcohol or intoxicated. It was the same number that we had arrested in February as well, 10. Our average for the month in 2017 was like 4.5 OWI arrests. So the guys are out there looking, searching. They're not just sitting. And which has also resulted in 28 criminal arrests that we've made there in March. Something kind of out of the ordinary, I was contacted by a coordinator for homeschool students, and I think most of them or maybe all of them are in this county, and asked me if we could give another tour. We'd given them a tour last year, said they'd have about 20 people. Officer Cunningham, I had him assigned to do that last year, and they requested him again. He does a great job with them. But we just increasingly, the numbers went, and we ended up having 100-plus parents, teachers, and students. So they had to break them up in 2 different groups, and I think they were here for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And once one group would get finished here, they'd go out front yard. It was like a playground for them. But something out of the, something we don't normally have every month. But unfortunately, as you know, we had a slaying of a Boone County deputy Jacob Pickett. Several of our officers attended that memorial service funeral. Also, Officer J.V. Settlemeyer contacted me and volunteered to go work a shift for the Boone County Sheriff's Department shortly after the deputy was attacked. As you know, you approved Jeffrey Slayback's promotion to sergeant last month, and also during the month I conducted some interviews for the position of park enforcement officer, and I believe I will be ready to offer a job to an applicant by the end of next week, if not this week. I want to update you on the hiring process for the 2 open police officer position that we have. You have a packet in front of you, but just to give you a little background, on March the 10th was our application test day. I had asked Assistant Town Manager Laura Parker to be the test administrator, to where no one from our department was not involved with that. She agreed, so Laura was the contact for the testing company that was out, I believe, out in Virginia, where we received our written test from. She was responsible for the security and the confidentiality of the tests from the time she received them until they were administered that day on the 10th. They were sealed. The seal was not broken until in front of me at the test day. Proctors for the written tests that I had were Police Commissioner Jill Howard, Chuck Parker, who is the spouse of Laura Parker, Corporal Matt Oliphant, and myself. The applicants were required to score 75% or higher on that written test. The tests were then graded by Jill Howard and Chuck Parker, and then regraded by Laura Parker to confirm the test score. I then recounted the number of incorrect answers before Laura recorded the test scores. Not much room for error at all there when it's got a 2 and 3 check balance with that system. We also used officers Jonathan Wolf, Anthony Southern, Josh Butler, Ed Jordan, assisted with the physical agility testing, along with the previously mentioned proctors that helped the written test. During the hiring process, I'd received 38 applications. 30 applicants participated on test day. 17 applicants successfully passed the written and physical agility test. Out of the 17, we conducted background investigations on 9 of those applicants. What I did, I went through the 17 and looked through their profile on their application, resume submitted, and any kind of information that we had received through the process, as well as their test scores for written and the physical agility test. Had the 9 that we did backgrounds on. Background investigators were Colonel Hilton, Corporals Oliphant and Allison, and myself. Corporal Oliphant conducted 1 background, Colonel Hilton 2, and Corporal Allison 2, and I conducted 4. The 4 I conducted were certified police officers who had come to me previously with some issues that they wanted to address before I did the background on them, and I wanted to keep that information as confidential as possible. I went from a few counties out to check a background on one person, Franklin, Avon, just different places, and none of those 4 made the final. So we had 4 applicants that were selected for chief's oral interviews. Prior to the chief's oral interview, one of the applicants dropped out in pursuit of a position with a fire department in the next county over. On April the 3rd, I conducted a telephone interview with the applicants, giving them an opportunity for 30 minutes to tell me about themselves. Give them a little time to break the ice to where they didn't come in a formal type of chief's interview, and hopefully make them relax a little bit more and be able to present themselves without as much stress. On April the 9th, 3 applicants participated in the chief's oral interview. The interview committee that I selected, one was Speedway Police Department Assistant Chief Charles Upchurch, Marion County Sheriff's Captain Jim Cutrell, and myself. And between the 3 of us that was on the interview committee, we had a combined 107 years of public service experience. The three of us unanimously agreed upon the two applicants that should be recommended for a conditional offer of employment. At this time, with one of the letters that I've given you, I'll read it, but it's for me to Danville Metropolitan Board of Police Commissioners, reference the hiring of Thomas E. Riggs. Dear Danville Metropolitan Board of Police Commissioners, I want to inform you that Thomas Riggs has successfully completed the written test, physical agility test, background investigation, and chief's oral interview required to be considered for employment as a police officer with the Danville Metropolitan Police Department. Thomas Riggs is a 2010 graduate of Tri-West High School. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education from Manchester University in 2014. He has served as a special education teacher for Manchester Community School Corporation and Elwood Community School Corporation since 2014. He has served as a reserve police officer for the North Manchester Police Department since December 2015 and Jonesboro Police Department since June of 2016. Thomas Riggs is 26 years old and resides in Jonesboro with his wife and 9-month-old daughter. His plan is to move to the Danville area. I highly recommend that the Danville Metropolitan Board of Police Commissioners approve my recommendation to offer Thomas Riggs a conditional offer of employment as a police officer full-time with the Danville Metropolitan Police Department. Thomas Riggs will be required to successfully complete the physical testing and psychological testing mandated by the Public Employee Retirement Fund before being employed with the Danville Metropolitan Police Department. Respectfully, sign me. And I would be glad to answer any questions you may have. If you go to the second page, it has a resume of Mr. Riggs. Third page is a photograph. And fourth page is a letter of recommendation from the Director of Special Services where he has served as a special education teacher.
Chief, what kind of timing are we on with, well, we'll stick with Mr. Riggs at this point, since that's what we're talking about, in terms of, when
what?
we could, in terms of the academy.
The next academy is full, and I think as of today, there may be 27 alternates or people in line. So I think the next possible academy is in October of this year. We never know how long it's going to take for the perf process to be completed. Sometimes, you can get it in 5 or 6 weeks, and sometimes it's over a couple of months. So if either or both of these are approved tonight, tomorrow, we'll get on trying to get them into the academy as well as into the perf for psychological testing.
So with the academy, where does that put them timing with what they can do with our department?
They'll come in, they'll do a 40-hour basic, and then they will start on their in-service training. And it varies. Sometimes, you hit it to where the new officers have their in-service training after the academy, and sometimes they have it prior to the academy. I don't know that there's a right or a wrong. One good thing is, rather than send them to the academy, if they can't make it through the start of your training, you don't have to worry about the time spent at the academy as sending them there for 16 weeks, or maybe they fail there and they're done. So it gives them a little bit of experience if they can do the field training first. But then you can have the other side of your brain say, well, if they went to the academy first, they come back here more qualified and more confident. So kind of a flip of the coin. And depending on what kind of experience they have, prior to coming to this department.
So is that field training, what's the time frame?
It depends on the applicant, depends on what kind of experience they have. If we have a transfer from another department, it wouldn't be as lengthy as someone that just coming maybe just out of college or doesn't have any police experience. But it's normally about 16 weeks, 12 to 16.
So once we get through that point, I'm just trying to get through in my mind what fortunately we can't get in the academy until October, so I'm just wondering what we can do until.
Yeah. We can get a lot of their training completed, if not all of it. Again, depending on how long it takes for PERF to approve them.
Any other questions? Read more, you want to make a motion?
Move that for Denny's recommendation, we make an appointment to Thomas Hicks, Danville Metropolitan.
Second?
All in favor? Negative? Motion approved.
Okay, thank you. The second applicant is, and you have a letter in front of you, Travis J. Wilson. I want to inform you that Travis Wilson has successfully completed the written test, physical agility test, background investigation, and chief's oral interview required to be considered for employment as a police officer with the Danville Metropolitan Police Department. Travis Wilson will be a 2010 graduate of, Travis Wilson is a 2010 graduate of Avon High School. He will earn a bachelor degree of science in criminal justice from Olivet Nazarene University in May of 2018. Travis Wilson is 22 years old. He resides with his parents in Avon when he is not in school. I highly recommend that the Danville Metropolitan Board of Police Commissioners approve my recommendation to offer Travis Wilson a conditional offer of employment as a police officer full-time with the Danville Metropolitan Police Department. Travis Wilson will be required to successfully complete the physical testing and psychological testing mandated by the Public Employee Retirement Fund before being employed with the Danville Metropolitan Police Department. I signed that. And again, the second, go ahead, Todd.
Sorry. Graduated high school in 2000.
Maybe I have the wrong.
That's okay.
It's probably 2014 instead of
Okay.
2010. Thanks for catching that. All I can tell you, he's graduating, I know, in May of 2018, so I've done a typo there. Thank you.
That's right.
Here you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was really nice.
Very smart.
Very smart.
This will be his first full-time job if accepted. Again, just getting ready to graduate from college. A little bit about him, he plays varsity football. He played 4 years there at Olivet. He was a football player and I think maybe track at Avon. Kind of an entrepreneur. He started three small businesses on his own while he was in high school to help support himself financially in college.
He sounds like a real go-getter.
Again, young kid. I personally know the person that wrote his letter of recommendation, who's a professor there at that school and very reputable. If he wrote it down and he signed it, he believes it and he's witnessed it.
We've had pretty good experience with our bringing on our younger guys as of late. Credit to our training.
I think I agree with you there, but I think it's a credit of their character prior to ever getting here. I think that's set way before coming here. I mean, you can have good guys go to Indian Department and go bad, but very seldom do you have a bad guy go good.
I'd like to commend you on the great work you've done and the people that have helped you. Looks like these are pretty good guys. We'd be lucky to have them.
I believe we are. If we don't hire him, I already know that
They'll be gone.
the previous one was offered a position today with another police department. He's also in the state police process, and he has said that he will drop out of that if he's hired here. I do not believe that Travis, the one we're talking about now, is in any other process. He wants to be in this community. He seems like he's kind of a visionary. He's already talking about probably being engaged in it by the end of the year or so, and living in the Hendricks County area. Likes the small town, Danville, likes the school system, and so forth. And that's thinking pretty deep for a 22-year-old.
I think it's wonderful. You guys have enough time to look?
Glad to answer any questions that I've maybe left out, or.
All right,
process and we've done
What point?
back. Yeah.
Did background checks conducted after the written test and prior to the oral interview. So we knew coming into the oral interview where there might be a snag, or like I said, I eliminated 4 people. They eliminated themselves. I investigated 4 people, didn't make it to that phase. So if you remember right, I kind of want to cut down the time frame, not having everyone interviewed that passed the test.
Being at agility and all, pretty big division.
There's a big range from when you start. I mean, when we started with the 30 out there, written test scores varied from a 60% to an 89%. Push-ups varied from 26 to 85, and the 85 was Travis Wilson, one of this recent one I'm recommended. Setups went from 16 to 53. The vertical jump, everybody gets through that. That's really not a real good indicator unless they can't get off the floor. But the 300-meter run went from the slowest at 64 seconds, and we had 3 of those, to the quickest, 47 seconds. The mile-and-a-half run went from, we had one that didn't make that was 17 minutes and 17 seconds, all the way to 10 minutes and 58 seconds. The 4 guys that we had to interview, obviously prior to the one applicant dropping out, were above average and higher than the average on each of these scores. And when you get it down to the remaining, as we had remaining 3, I'll just 5 categories that the SOP approved for them to be scored on.
Thank you.
If you're getting down to those 3, it comes pretty close. The lower the scores is the best. Mr. Riggs with an 8, Travis Wilson with a 9, and Mr. Pascal with a 10.
So the low score is the good
The
score.
low scores that they would have finished first. What I did was then take the 3 finalists and scored them 1, 2, 3. 1 being they finished first in that category, second or third. And when you're probably going to question where it says background investigations, there's 2 1s and a 2, a 1 for Riggs, Wilson, and a 2 for Pascal. There were some things, there was nothing in the backgrounds of the first 2, and there was some red flags in the other one. So it wasn't fair to score them all the same, and there wasn't enough difference between Riggs and Wilson to make a 1-2. So it's just they both got 1s, and the other applicant got a 2.
Something similar in the application.
Sort of, it's just different categories, but same kind of scoring.
We have 1, 2, 2.
Yeah. And on the oral interview, Mr. Riggs scored a 45 out of a 45. There were 15 questions. Each of them was worth 3. And Mr. Wilson scored a 43, and the third applicant scored a 37. So, but there was, even though you can look on that paper and say, well, that's only 1 point between each one of them, if you talk to them, there was a big difference. And that's the advantage that I have from being from the start of the process, through the end of it, rather than you guys just have to look at numbers that, that we come up with, so. These two guys that I'm recommending, solid, what kind of police officer it's gonna be, I think they'll be good, but just like always, you gotta prove yourself.
Based on the chief's recommendation and the supporting documentation we've been given, I move that we offer a full-time conditional offer of employment to Travis Wilson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion approved. Thank you, Chief, for that hard work. They look like pretty good guys.
Yeah.
Could save our lives someday.
Chief, would you like these returned to you, or?
Yeah, why don't you take that back? Yeah, just take it back.
This one?
That'll alleviate that.
We'll, if maybe at the next meeting, want to bring them in tonight. Or recommendation was approved, so.
Okay, thank you very much,
You're
Chief.
welcome.
Thanks.
Any new business?
This, you guys, and Chief, you were copied on email. I wanted to bring up my personal opinion, and this tonight would be included in that. I would like if we were to get this kind of thing meeting, as opposed to supporting letters, documentation. Not at all, because I have in mind that but same thing with last month's meeting with Nate. I consider those to be pretty big. So I would just like to know coming into somebody, and then leave the personal thought would be to leave the dates from chief to, the statistics and some of the other stuff you talked about.
Saying leave off? Or just make them part of it? Sorry.
No. In terms of updates, last month we had, attendance at certain things. We had, the gala, the central. That's all fine. I'm just talking about personnel matters where we're recognizing people, promoting people, hiring people.
You just like
I would
see
like to know
on the
that going
agenda.
in so that I
Okay.
know there's a special event going on.
I totally agree that getting have the data in front of you. Cover letter here.
Cool, decisions made, I'm not sure appropriate, but it.
You want to leave it till we ask Jewel, see if it's okay?
Well, in terms of this type of thing.
Yeah.
But getting the data ahead of time.
And again, Chief, that's not my saying I want to put a magnifying glass on what you're looking at, everything I hear. Heck, this process very well, and I appreciate it. It's what I consider a pretty big deal. You guys are saving lives and stuff.
Should have been a long time ago, and Nate forgot to come. So that's why it was on the
I do remember that.
uprising, yeah. So let me make sure I'm clear. So what you want is on the agenda, the title, but not like this information I gave you now. You don't want that ahead of time, or you do
No,
want that ahead of time.
I think having it ahead, at least the resume.
And we can check in with Chul. If he says it's okay to provide this whole packet, no decision's being made, it's strictly a recommendation. I don't think that's inappropriate, provided that, keep that information to ourselves. I mean, I wouldn't want to be out discussing your recommendation.
Yeah, that's a secret, and that's why I spent hours upon hours with the 4 investigations I did, because I didn't want, I know, I've been in too many police departments. One person knows, 2 persons knows, everybody knows. And there was things with these people that were embarrassing. There's things with other things in these backgrounds that are embarrassing, that if it was me, I wouldn't want you to know.
Yeah.
We don't
So
certainly
that's-
need any of that, but I think we can agree that this stuff would be kept meeting, but
Prior
the
to.
resumes and this application, a resume, or there's a recommendation.
We wouldn't see anything that hadn't come.
That's all. I don't, you wouldn't need any other candidate information other than tonight.
Just would give us an extra 24 hours so that at the meeting we're not trying to.
It's you guys' vote, you know. I try to keep things as confidential as possible. That's why you can see there wasn't a lot of hands-on from the department. I knew that there was some that had some connections with somebody who was there, and I just didn't want that to happen, you know. I've been told of some negative things that happened in the past, and people that didn't pass things that got approved, and I didn't want that to be here when I left, that I allowed it to happen. So that's the reason I was trying to be really, really confidential about all of it. And knowing ahead of time, because I had those officers come to me with, hey, this is what I've got, you know, but I still want to be considered, so. But, I mean, whatever you want.
You and this board are the only ones that have that. But it didn't come from you. We know where the problem is.
I don't even know, I mean, even if it's the day of.
No? We'll ask some questions to Chul. Get back to you.
Good.
Job on this.
Yeah, thank you. I'll get a hold of the 2 successful applicants tonight, and then the 3rd one as well, if I can.
Where we at? We already did old and new business. Did some comments. Ready? Pretty good? Okay. Motion to adjourn? Got something else? Okay. Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.